So we, I guess, reached the end of this 1.5 days of talking about the precarious cultural workers, actually the precarity in capitalist culture and the industrialized societies. This is basically envisioned as a final remarks concluding session of the symposium, where me and Vladan and I were going to say something about what was said this past day and a half, and then we are expecting the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs, Violeta, to also say something from her point of view about our situation. So I just wanted to thank everybody for the participation, the intense program, and for being active the past days. I want to say that we, in this context, we opened something that was really important actually, and that we're going to continue in the next months, and that is the workers' inquiry, something that was done in Belgrade and Madrid in the past years, and that we think that is a nice thing to do in Macedonia also, so we can maybe in this point in time see what are our next steps in the fight against precarity. And also from Tjaša Pureber from Slovenia, we've heard a lot of things that were done in Slovenia, especially in the frames of Asociacija and what Asociacija does. So thank you also for sharing that important things with us, so we can also be a bit more motivated to continue our fight. We've also heard from Corina and Apostol about the history of the precarity and actually how different artists and cultural workers fought in the history, starting from Courbet till different kind of artists. And also you've heard both from Corina and from Vladan about the Art Leaks platform and Art Leaks Gazette, and actually how they follow really neatly what is going on in the world, and how cultural workers are fighting from different corners of the world against this topic. Violeta and I tried to also kind of explain what we faced in the past years in the country and in which point we are now. Actually, we named this final slide, Facing the Wall. But I think that now, after these 2 days, we feel a bit more eager to continue actually what we are going to do. And also in that regard, I'm going to mention what Kira Vasilev said, and also concluded and maybe suggested that we continue on working on this collective agreement actually, and focusing more on that instead of the new law of culture. In the first session, Precarious in Capitalist Culture, Biljana, Tanurovska, Jovanovski also really neatly moderated this session. And we've heard from Antonia, Alampi, and from iLiana, Fokianaki about how Future Climate's platform functions. And maybe I can extract maybe 2 points that I remember in this moment, and that is that the public institutions or actual large institutions should feel responsible for the smaller ones, also economically, and also should be responsible somehow in a sense and take responsibility in how the overall cultural field functions. And also Biljana also concluded, and that's how we discussed a lot about this culture of silence that we have to break and also be a bit more motivated to fight. And then in the last session, Precarious in the Industrial Societies, we've heard from Karla about the initiative Enough with the Cuts, which I find really kind of similar actually. We have similar steps with what we've done in Macedonia and also in Croatia. And I think that we are going to continue talking about this topic and exchange opinions about what we can do further jointly on this topic. And then Tara also, and also we've seen just the films from the Zrenjanin Socialist Forum and how the workers are basically fighting also about the against precariat. Kristina Ampeva is really a bright example of how textile workers and and the situation about textile workers improved in the last years, and I've already mentioned Kira Vasilev, so thank you again for also sharing your ideas. I'm gonna stop here and give the mic to Vladan. I'm gonna say again thank you to Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung for for supporting us with this idea to open it up here in Skopje, this really important topic.
Thank you very much, Ivana. I also want to thank to Lokomotiva and to your organization for organizing all this, and to Kino Kultura for producing this event and also for technical support. And I have, after these 2 days of discussions and opening so many topics, I feel like that we somehow started many important discussions, but we also went into many directions, in the sense of that we tackled also like what means to be transnationally organized in the context of creative labor, and also but also in the context of local organization of labor. And I think that those two things should not be disconnected, because precarious workers and also labor in deindustrialized post-socialist societies like in our region need also to be organized on the transnational level and unionized, as well as cultural workers and art workers. And we also learned somehow that it is not probably productive to stand in antagonistic position with people who are working in the institutions, but in the same time it is good to approach critically the institutions in the practice and in the struggle for labor rights. And for me, those things in general are the most important conclusions. Of course, we had the opportunity to learn about the situation in Macedonia, and thank you very much, especially about also how the workers are organizing for example, in Štip, and also in the cities at the periphery of the country, like in Serbia, Zrenjanin, and in Macedonia, Štip. And probably also maybe Biljana Tanurovska can say something about some aspects that we had, but probably we have also somebody else to say more. Ivana?
Biljana maybe as moderator of one of the sessions, and also Filip, maybe like the final words before we give the mic to the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs.
I don't know. Actually, I think most of the things have been said. Firstly, I would really like to thank you for these 2 days and having this possibility to hear these diverse opinions, but also these diverse situations in which we are acting as cultural workers. We could have found many similarities, but also we could have heard stories how we can organize or reorganize ourselves in the context in which we live and work. What I think I can conclude somehow from my perspective, living and working in 25 years in a very precarious situation as a cultural worker, I think that we should start a dialogue that it's not just related with the field in which we work, and this is culture and art, and therefore we've been kind of suggested to start talking and collaborating with the Ministry of Labor and Social Justice, because actually there we should interfere and penetrate within the laws where our workers' rights are not tackled. And somehow we should start making this kind of like path between the laws, like cultural law and social law, and also to find a way in a dialogue how we can, labor law, to find a dialogue how to organize ourselves as non-formal workers, because we know and we were contributing to the law of culture, but there is a collective agreement for those workers which are in institutions, but not for those workers which are non-formal workers, as we are in the independent sector. So there is in front of us some kind of ideas and proposals that I think we should continue working on. And I think very much what is needed for the future is what you said, this transnational kind of alliances in which we can contribute to each other's struggles. So thank you so much.
Okay, you said almost everything, so again, thanks to everyone. What we learned, I will focus on, for me, two things: how to make strategic alliances and how to make culture who will not be culture of reaction. That's for me very important, and I think should work more on that. So more strategically to build whole collaborations. So I will give the mic to Mila, and I want to thank her publicly, and because of her tight schedule, she managed to come here, and I really appreciate the support. Who is long time, it's not only for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to everybody, and welcome in our country for the people from the region. I'm really respect the possibility to discuss this night with you, because it's not really usual, the alternative scene in the countries, to invite the ministers, because sometimes they are on a different side. But I think that we are coming from the same side. It's from the citizen side. I was previously part of the civil society organization. I must to say that this type of natural unions that are happening in the country are really strong. I must to say that really respectful is a movement of textile workers in East Macedonia that Kristina Ampeva is leading with her team, of course, and they show that it's possible without trade union, just to have a civil society behind, to change something and to advocate more than if you are in a formal trade union. And that's why I'm sure that the cultural workers in our country now will find a possibility to have, because you have also natural partner, the trade union of independent cultural workers. They are already established, as I know, and they are fully representativni. It is. They have representation. They have representation. They are part of the social dialogue, and I'm sure that we will find a possibility in this independent one to open discussion about non-organized or non-formal workers in a cultural scene. With that, it's possible to open also collective agreement for the workers that are already socially secured by the law for culture. It is the correct law, yeah, law for culture, and you are socially secured there, but you are not part of the collective agreement. And it's possible to be. Why? Because you are socially secured. You are recognized as a group that is working in the country. And for me, this solution is really easy if there is a political will. I didn't feel that is any barrier in this moment, or I didn't expect any reaction, because you're really respected and by the government, and you were part also of the process of ruining the regime. And that's why I think that I didn't know that you're working on this, but if I know before, maybe we can done this before. Now we are again in elections, but we can open a discussion, and I can discuss with the Minister of Culture, and especially with the trade union, because I think it's important now to become a partner with the trade union, and after that to open this publicly as a debate, and to finally find a solution how you can have better rights and respected rights. And thank you again. I'm here for everything that you need, but really I respect this natural moving in the country, that it's growing and growing.
Some possibilities now that can be opened in the future, in the near future. I think we kind of set a few steps that can be made also, like this next month. Thank you again all for coming here. Thank you, Rosa, Luxemburg, for Stiftung, for supporting us again, and see you next time. Thank you.